Good morning, everybody. You're tuned to Computers 2K now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next couple of hours, along with Nick.
Hello.
Good morning. And Mike is here.
I am indeed.
And Gal is here.
Hello, hello.
And Spence is here. Uh-oh. What happened to Spence?
Spence is not here.
I am speechless.
Oh. Our number is 919-518-9773, Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And this morning's show is made possible by VMix Software, Telestream Wirecast Software, and is sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear. And a beautiful morning to everybody else out there.
Hot.
Yes, hot.
It is hot, and it's going to be hotter, isn't it?
Did you, Amnon, were you in any of that rain yesterday that just...
Nope, it just kind of dripped a little bit here. I saw it on some surfaces, and it stopped.
We were coming home from Virginia yesterday afternoon, and we hit like Zebulon around, I don't know, 3:30. It rained so hard, you had to pull off the side of the road with your flashers on. It just poured. I mean, just no visibility. And it did that for like 10 minutes. And then as we got in, as soon as we hit the Beltway, it was raining a little bit. And by the time I got home, it was completely dry.
Yeah, I was hoping. It looked like it was going to rain a few times. It looked like really what's the word? Ominous?
Ominous.
Ominous. Ominous out there.
We were in Virginia for a concert Friday night in Williamsburg at Alison Krauss and Bruce Hornsby. And we're 45 minutes into the concert, and they cut his microphone. And we're thinking, oh, there's a technical problem. You know, what's going on? He's about to start another song, and he's talking nothing. What microphone? And somebody comes out and says, evacuate the area. There's a severe thunderstorm. We have 30 minutes. Everybody leave.
What?
Wow.
This is an amphitheater?
No, it was an outdoor venue, like a big green area where they had tents set up. It was a temporary setup, but not everybody could get. We had lawn seating, so we weren't under the tent. But so they literally told everybody to leave. And so the good news is that we were there at my brother-in-law's house, which is only a mile away. So we went back to his house, and then they opened it up again. An hour and a half later.
Did it rain real hard?
It rained really hard.
Wow.
Yes, wind, rain, lightning.
Well, Spence, that's just the way it is, right?
That's it. Well, I'm just happy to be safe. I'm
people. You didn't. Never.
This is Facebook, right? They said monitor Facebook, and we'll let you know when it's safe to come back.
So that's what they told you?
That's what they did. Well, that was the best way for them to communicate with everybody.
I guess that makes sense.
I was, and so we're looking, and a woman says, she actually says this. She says, this isn't fair. We should get a free ticket for tomorrow's event because we only heard one song before the thing was called. So I'm thinking, you tart, you you got there late. We had 14 songs before they called it. You just got there late. I hope somebody replied to her on Facebook. I didn't do it, but some people.
I like Bruce Hornsby.
So you didn't get drenched, and that's important.
No, we didn't. Later on, it rained a little bit, but it was not torrential. Anything.
I got caught in the rain yesterday when I was on the phone with Mike dealing with a technical issue. It was fun.
Where were you that you were out in the rain?
So I was down in Wilmington, and I learned a little lesson about mission critical things,
Things.
just mission critical things. Um, if the way Mike put it, if you test something, if you come up with a solution and and you implement it and it works, go back and clean it up. Don't leave the test version in production because connectors and jacks and things just get pulled loose over time, especially RCA jacks.
Yeah.
So, word to all the wise.
You can just look at those jacks and they'll come out.
Well, I mean, that's what happened. I was looking at them remotely, and I thought, God, there's a buzz on this channel. What the? Why is this that? And I go out there and
Well,
dig
it,
in.
it depends. Some RCA connectors are very, very good, but a lot of them are not, particularly the cheap Chinese crap ones that we tend to grab in a hurry.
So we learned, and we'll have some type of solution. But
The reason that Nick's bringing it up is because when he was first started getting involved in broadcasting, he had been a master podcaster, world-renowned podcaster. And of course, this connector that he's showing, say something, Nick, so they can see you.
this is the lifeblood right here. As long as I can hook something up, as long as I can hook enough of these damn things together, I can make it work.
And the problem with those is they don't have a latch on them. If you use an XLR connector, it has a latch on it that when you bump it, it doesn't pull out, or if things get moved, you're not sitting there chasing a wire that's not properly connected or a cable that's pulled loose. And RCA, again, on some connections are much worse. And what he's saying is that I built a device between him, Sean, and me. We built a device that allows the guy on the air to press a button and to dump the audio for 7 to 10 seconds in case some wacko calls up and starts venting on Trump derangement syndrome or something. Having said that, I put it together in a hurry because we didn't have any time. Two, we wanted to prove that it would work. Three, I'm 2 hours and 15 minutes away, meaning that I wasn't going to sit there all day to prove it. And we had to spend some time testing it anyway. Well, we should have gone back and made a more robust version of it, but it didn't happen. So an engineer went over there, and nothing wrong with what he did, but he moved the rack. When he did, it caused one of the RCA plugs to pull loose. It wasn't all the way out; it was loose. Nick moved it again, and it came all the way out. So it was pretty easy to find.
Yeah, and it turns out the web relay box, had fallen on the floor, causing the RCA cable to have a lot of tension on it. And when the other engineer, I was on the phone with him when he slid the device or turned the device, it jiggled the connector loose enough, and then when I moved it, it came out.
And the moral of the story is the worst possible thing will happen at the worst possible time.
Yeah, I thank God it happened when it did, because I'm about
Prepare
to leave.
for it.
I'm about to leave tomorrow. So
Is there a alternative mechanical solution, or is it just buying better quality of the jack is the best solution, or is there actually an alternative?
There are multiple alternatives. The first thing is if you get a Switchcraft RCA connector that you solder on yourself, it's almost impossible to pull it off of the jack without breaking the jack. It's really, really good. This was not what those were. These were cheap Chinese crap. The second thing is that if you're going to use the cheap Chinese crap, for example, we use the Delta 1010 LT sound card that has RCA jacks on the end of a cable for input. They're the cheap Chinese crap. In that case, it's hard to get around it. What we should have done is gone back, in this case, is gone back with heat shrink tubing properly sized that when it shrinks around the male and female connector, it can't pull loose. The third solution is to convert everything to XLR connectors, which are big, bulky, and expensive, but you'll never pull one out without breaking the cable.
a learning experience. Unfortunately, we're about to move all that equipment here in the next couple of months, so Mike and I'll be able to kind of rework some.
You ever see? It probably would have to be weird for it to happen, but do you ever on Facebook? Do you ever see, for example, in some of the computer groups or in some of the radio groups, if you ever go there, there will be pictures of people with beautifully wired equipment racks where every wire is in a proper place. It's just perfectly dressed out.
Yeah,
that is a skill. It takes an artist to be able to wire panels and make them look like that. the disadvantage, people don't realize it, but the disadvantage in doing that stuff is, what if you have to add a wire, change a wire, one's bad, I mean, it's a problem. And bundling wires too closely together can sometimes cause interference issues.
Mm-hmm.
But I will tell you that I used to install telephone systems, and these telephone guys would do it so much that after a period of time, they got really, really good at running cables. I never got that good at it. I could always make the stuff work, but it was very difficult for me to make it look right.
The issue becomes moves, adds, and changes.
Oh,
Because, well,
it's
yeah,
terrible.
when I wire a panel, I always do it with, lots of I use strain reliefs, and I have a place you can open the panel and not pinch anything, but just add one cable, and now you're screwed up. We used to work in these large computer raised floor environments where we would have to do reconfigurations every weekend because it was a test environment. We got to the point where there was so much cable that we'd have to get in there with garden shears and cut bundles of cable and pull them out because there was no way for us to add anything else. And it just got to the point where we spent a whole day just pulling out everything that was every inactive cable that there was.
Back in the old days, we used to staple every audio cable underneath the console table running from point A to point B. We used to staple them, and it made it look neat, and certainly they were secure. But boy, if you ever had to change anything, you ran the risk of putting an eye out pulling those staples out, those
Yeah.
T25 and T18 staples. What should have been done, and what I should have learned, I had nobody to teach me. Everything I know is self-taught in that regard. What I should have done is put a track or a channel or a raceway in there, so you just drop, like Amnon did with his console at the studio, where you just have a U-shaped channel with a cover on it. You drop the wires in there. You don't bundle them or anything. When you need to chase something or test it or pull it or replace it or add, you just open it, drop it, pull it, and you're in the business.
Mhm. And Mike, as far as RCA cables, if I had that problem with those connectors, I would do something simple right away. Tie wrap around the male and plug it in and make it real tight. And it's like
Well,
the spring, it's like a spring action that
I
grabs.
understand that, and you can do that. But then, for example, if you do that, then when you try to pull that cable, that tie wrap gets in the way. Anything that prevents a cable from being pulled is generally not good form. That's why you would use something like heat shrink, because it's not going to bind if you try to pull it, and in fact, it will actually hold it much, much better if you end up pulling on the wire.
Yeah, I was actually, you know how the RCA cable plugs have like four pieces.
Mm-hmm.
I put a little drop of crazy glue on one of them and put it in. Then, if you need to take it out, you have to pry it, kind of like, just like one leaf, pop it
Or
off.
you could use good quality
It's,
connectors
I
and
mean,
not have to worry
oh
about
yes, yeah, but I mean, in a pinch,
them. Right. Or you could get some heat shrink tubing.
that's hard to come by that size.
No, it's not.
Well,
Mr.
best
eBay.
thing to do is just to build a trough, put the cable in it, and fill it with cement.
No, but I mean, what Nick was talking about and Mike are talking about the pulling out. If you touch the wrong thing and it'll pull it out, and yeah, that happens. I can
There are
see it
some
happening.
interesting cable organizing products out there that allow you to do kind of dynamic
on
configuration,
on
but they're
the
expensive.
To plug it on a card, there's not much you can do.
No.
If you are connecting two wires together, RCA, what I do here, I mean, I've got a bunch of them. I tie them. I tie it first, and then I put it on. And when you pull it apart, it's just tightening that knot, Mike. That's when you just extend a cable, not on a card. On a card, you can't do that. But you fixed it, Nick, didn't you?
Yes, with the help of Mike, I was able to solve the problem. And
Yeah.
actually, the help of you, Amnon, we used your Nissan Communications MP3 stream as a test audio source
You mean
for,
for your
testing if the connection was
Yeah,
stable
yeah.
again, because I didn't have a way to monitor the audio when I was there. So, thank you.
worked.
It worked for sure.
Yep. So what else is going on?
Was there a major update this week? Was this update Tuesday this past week? I didn't
don't think
do a
so.
whole lot of online stuff, but both times I started up machines I didn't touch for a few days, and I got the good old set up Microsoft Family prompt. So I assume that something changed.
I know Kathy's desktop, the one that she's using, did the that big
Feature
update.
update.
That's the only Windows 10 machine that is other than the switcher here, and it was doing a big update and was offline for about 2 hours.
I helped a customer wanted to repurpose a MacBook Air. He had been using this for quite a while as his main work machine by running MacBook Air with Parallels, where he ran his Windows environment in Parallels. And it worked okay until you started getting disk space issues, and then had to keep cleaning up the disk, and you would want to save copies of the Parallels environment. So it really became an issue when you could not expand the memory on the MacBook. So I took it and I reinstalled, put it back to factory. And one of the nice features of Apple is that after a certain hardware level, you can go and do a system restore. You just make sure you have a wireless connection at a minimum. And you can, when you start the machine up, go into system restore and select install OS, and then configure the Wi-Fi connection, and it will go out and download the version of operating of OS 10 that you had on the machine when it was new, and put it back to factory. You don't need any disks. Takes a while because it's over network, but actually worked pretty good. Put it back to factory, and now I'm going to try to upgrade. I think he never did upgrade off of Lion, OS 10 Lion. But he qualifies for a free El Capitan minimum update. So it's a neat feature.
Uh-huh.
Yes, sir.
Gal had something. Gal, you want to talk something about a backup?
Oh, right. Last week you mentioned the need to easily back up a simple backup solution that will be robust enough for either in the LAN or over the web, whether it's cloud services or another server. And I ran across something called Duplicati. Duplicati. It's an open source project, but one that's been running for a long time now, and it is very interesting. It is a block-based backup system, bandwidth built for utilizing bandwidth in a smart way, and it works in a similar way of having a base backup with incremental backups going after that, but it does the incremental backups instead of on a file base, it does it on a block base, and so it's a lot more efficient than traditional backup applications.
So you mean it's reading a whole block before it uploads it?
Well,
instead of a
think
file?
of it of taking the file, shredding it to pieces, and throwing those pieces right into storage,
Mhm.
and detecting when those pieces are
Changing. So
changing, and just replacing those
oh,
pieces, or
wow.
logging a change to those pieces.
Sort of like
Now
an
that's the first part.
Sort of like an incremental to a file, even. I mean, you just
Yeah,
add.
within a file, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Wow.
small changes. But on top of all of that, it also handles something the most backup software don't do automatically, and is it checks the restore is viable, that there's no corruption.
Mhm.
So every once in a while, it samples blocks from the existing backup, from the remote backup, and it checks that there's no corruption and notifies you before everything breaks and you're coming to restore from backup and you can't.
Mhm.
So that's an interesting feature of it.
And is that available with the family package? That feature? I'm looking. I looked at this last week. I think. Did you mention it last week?
No, what I mentioned last week was Resilio.
Yeah, but I think I stumbled across this somehow.
Duplicati is completely free. It's
Yeah.
they have no. I don't see any place where you can even buy support or
Okay.
something.
I was thinking of
Yeah,
Resilio then.
yeah.
Resilio has a sale now with the 5-person license. It's usually 100. It's down to it's for $54.99.
Yeah, they have it for the summer or something. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
seen that. Then that's a great deal. But Duplicati is a very interesting. So the change, the difference here, Resilio will keep your file structure. You can still access the files, and it's folder to folder, right? So even if it's remote, it's still a folder. Duplicati is it's a package-based backup. You package a folder structure or a large file, but you can't access the files directly. You'll need to restore from backup first.
Yeah.
But for cold storage, one of the real problems of cold storage is that cold storage might encounter corruption, and you will probably know it only when you come to restore. And the software here checks that for you every time it goes to backup.
Hmm.
So backing up your entire file system on a daily basis is no longer expensive, and you also get notified if you have corruption. So these two features is a very, very interesting approach to backup, which is different than most. And the nice thing about this application is, other than local storage, it supports all of the major cloud storage platforms. So
When you say local storage, does it work peer to peer?
it works peer to peer. It works to another drive. It works to a cloud
So
drive.
if you have a mapped drive on your machine to another, say you're sharing, somebody shares a drive on their machine, you can back up to their drive.
I believe you could.
That was
Yeah.
one of the things I really liked about Crash Plan. And the reason I was using Crash Plan for a few years was because it did peer to peer backups. And then Crash Plan changed their financial model and made it unviable anymore to use. Drove and took that feature away.
Yeah.
And
So this looks like what would it look like if CrashPlan was open source and and had a busy community behind it?
Yeah,
This is
nice.
how it
Yeah.
looks.
Gal, how and when does it back up? Is it on a schedule? Is it intelligent that it knows when to do it?
So I haven't tested it yet, but it does have an internal scheduler. I
Okay.
haven't checked that if it has like a sync on change, right? Detect changes
Yeah.
in sync. I assume that on certain file systems it can detect, but I
Okay.
haven't seen that in the feature list, so I'm not sure.
Can you put the? Are you on the chat? I mean, is the chat the show chat? Is it open? Put the um. Oh yeah, you are. I see. Yeah, put the link to it. This is sort of like how the backup program that we use at Delta Force for the Linux servers. It's called Backup PC,
Okay.
and it does to remote or to local. And what it does, it again, you can't use the files. You have to restore. But if that file already exists anywhere on the drive, it does not duplicate it. So when you have a huge operating system, it doesn't need to touch it unless it changes. And if somebody has, let's say, a, a, a file that is being used repeatedly across multiple users and it's the same file, instead of backing it up for each user, it just backs up some information about it and it has one copy on the drive, on the backup drive, and it knows, oh yeah, they need this one. It works nice. It works really nice. And it works across the internet because I'm backing up the new server into the house here every night. Besides the backups that are done there, it's also a backup that comes over here. So it does work.
Okay, interesting.
But this and this the one that you're talking about, the Duplicati, does it work on different operating systems or is it just
Oh yeah.
Windows?
No, all the operating systems are listed there.
Good.
Let's see.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's important.
Windows, Debian, a lot of Linuxes. It also runs on NASes, so Synology and stuff will run it as well. So,
But Windows and Mac.
yeah, Mac as well. Oh, yeah, Mac OS as well.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, it's an interesting project.
Absolutely.
I'm definitely gonna check it out. I just learned about it yesterday, so I haven't tried.
Oh.
I haven't had the chance to try it. And one other thing that I had in relation to this, so the price of remote storage, right? That's always a concern when backing up stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever heard about distributed file systems?
No.
So distributed file systems is the idea of no single point of failure, right? Nothing new here in the concept.
Blockchain? Not
Instead
as
of having
sophisticated as blockchain.
what's that?
Not as sophisticated as blockchain.
Well, blockchain
It's
is storage with a specific specific behavior, right? A blockchain will host these transaction records, right? That's basically what a blockchain is a record of transactions that cannot be broken or
because it's updated everywhere in real time, and
yeah,
Yeah.
because a copy of it exists everywhere, right? Everywhere a node is running, then nobody can fake a transaction there because everything is signed, and on top of the signage, it's also duplicated. And because there's no single source that says this is official, only by combining answers from different nodes, you get to validate a record. That's what makes blockchain so uniquely secure and and attractive, right? But but so the idea of distributed storage is very similar to blockchain in a way, but here you do want to change your own files, right, within the distributed storage. So, but instead of having only one hard drive at my home, or maybe two, a hard drive at home and some remote server that I store, we can all now create a pool of hard drives, each in their own home, each running on their own server, and we can then connect all of these storage locations into a single distributed system. And when I go to save the file, right, instead of it going to my hard drive, it'll go in shreds. It'll break up and it'll write pieces of it in different locations. Now, when we're talking about just 5 hard drives, then that's not not big, but think of you have, I don't know, 5,000, 10,000 nodes out there of people participating in distributed storage, and my storage will be in full locally, of course, right? Because I want quick access to it, but it will also be backed up into, let's say, 30 other locations. So it'll be broken up into pieces. It'll be duplicated across the network. Those pieces will be randomly located at different points, and that will allow my security. So nobody has a complete copy of my file, right? But I still, through the distributed system, I still have access to the backup copy. So that's a very interesting concept. And there are different solutions brewing out there. Nothing is like quite production in the level of enterprise production where enterprises have started using it, but it's definitely going there. And the idea of it is this: if this works properly, this can create a real competition for cloud storage services like Amazon and Google and Azure's. And now you mentioned blockchains. Now you tie it in with the security of blockchains for securing those transactions of storage and tracking and creating a ledger of where everything is. And you have a new market here called there's a few competitors in this field right now that what they're trying to do is they're trying to create distributed storage that goes along with a blockchain, either for value exchange, right? Like creating a currency, a cryptocurrency in this case, that will track the contracts for the storage, or just as a ledger of tracking what's going on and where everything is. And one of the project is the ledger is very open and very susceptible to manipulation by humans. And another project is talking about how to make everything completely automated. So the idea is you install their package or whatever on a server or on a machine that has storage, and it publishes to the ledger, to the blockchain. It publishes, hey, I got 1 terabyte free of storage, right? I can allot 200 gigabytes per second bandwidth, and 200 megabytes per second bandwidth, or something like that. And I'm basically Airbnb-ing my free storage.
Hmm.
And so that's the idea of like Airbnb-ing your free storage, whether it's in a data center or on a server at home. And you get, and I mean, this is the idea of old school file sharing, but in a manner of how to, it's not anonymized because everything belongs to someone, right? But it is like how to share storage as an abstract concept, right? And this is a very very interesting niche that's running now. One of the projects is called SIA, SIA. I'll find the link and I'll send in the chat in a moment. And the other, which hasn't shipped yet, is Filecoin. and there was another one, and I'll try to find that and post that link as well. So SIA is already running and working. Filecoin has not yet launched. It's based on it's called IPFS. IPFS is a distributed file system that works. Very interesting implementation, but that means that you control all the nodes in that IPFS file system. And they plan on making a blockchain control automated distributed file system, autonomous distributed file system based on IPFS, and that's what Filecoin is going to be.
I
And
I
and
al-
that's
I always
yeah. Go ahead.
associated blockchain with cryptocurrency. I don't know. I mean, I never read into it. I never looked into it, but I always associate it with that, and that's obviously has more than just that, huh?
Oh yeah, yeah, much more. The whole idea of blockchain is having a ledger you cannot fake. That's why cryptocurrencies were the natural evolution and the first step. And once that became viable, everybody started understanding that this is not just a Ponzi scheme, right? This is
I don't
uh,
know.
look, every currency in the world is a Ponzi scheme if you
Yeah,
look at it.
yeah.
What counts as something that is viable or something that it's going to be used to rip you off. The difference is how many people are believe in it, right, and are into the system. I mean, all modern systems today, they're just an evolution uh, of a religion, right? We all still go to the shaman who uses his spells. We just call him a judge, and uh, he has a hammer that says it's so. There's there's a lot of rules going on, but we're all going through rituals. Still, it's still the same, right? It's not. If any of you ever read there's an Israeli professor called Yuval Harari. He wrote an excellent book a few years ago called History of the Humankind, something like that. Sapiens, I think it was translated into English, and that's exactly what he shows. He shows the progression of humanity, and basically nothing major has changed. We made it more complex. We added systems and systems, but we're still practicing in the same manner. And this is it. So cryptocurrency is just an evolution of existing currency. And I'm not saying Bitcoin is the only currency that will remain after this fad passes out, right? But Amnon, I think I told you, right? Technology is when it doesn't work,
Yeah.
right? Reality is when technology becomes reality when we don't notice it anymore. We don't notice the technology in the dollar bill, but it is a technological advancement if we go back enough in time, right? There was one time when some people came out with those paper notes and people thought they were crazy, right? Why should I give my grain or my gold for those paper notes? And what then accounted was the seal of the king. So now instead of the seal of the king, we're looking for something that the king cannot touch, right? So eventually, eventually, it is an evolution of that. But where it will go, nobody's really sure. But it does seem to go that way. So it's interesting. It's still flawed. It's not perfect, but
Yeah.
definitely something to keep an eye on.
I know financial institutions, if they haven't already adopted blockchain, are looking at that because of the security of protecting transactions, especially if there's a you have the threat of losing your entire, even though you have a data center and a backup data center, there's always a possibility that they could be taken out. And so if you have blockchain distributed throughout the world, even if it's in-house, it's still a great way to protect transactions and information. What was the name of the show where I guess it was
Mr. Robot.
Mr. Robot, where they
Yeah.
took out that large bank
Mhm.
and it took out their entire database. I don't know if they saved it somewhere, but the point was that people can't, I want to take out my money. Well, we can't give you any money. Why? Because we don't know how much you have. It's like, great. All those transactions are gone because the whole thing got wiped out.
Yeah.
Don't give anybody ideas.
Oh, and I'm sure if they're thinking about it, if they could do it, they'd do it.
Yeah.
It wasn't the first time, right? The first the first time I remember fiction talking about it was Fight Club.
Hmm.
Yep.
All right. 919-518-9773. Computers 2K voice on Skype. Call in. Let us know what you think about all this.
I think that everybody should just give me money on a regular basis and I'll protect it for them.
That's a great idea.
Like, send me money and I will assure you that it's being put to good use.
Excellent.
I'll
Absolutely.
actually write out a written guarantee.
I'll tell Kathy to pull out the savings and all that and
That's
send it
it.
to you.
Hey,
Yeah.
right?
Thanks. What's
I didn't say you'd get it back.
right.
You just said it would be put to good use.
I'll tell you this: if you believe in cryptocurrency like Litecoin, now is the time to buy.
Why?
Yeah, but at this point,
$7.
but at this point, you don't know what's going to survive and what will not. And
that's true for the stock market too.
That's
You know
why
what's
you
so
shouldn't
weird?
invest your life savings and it just start out with a little money.
Yeah.
All right, let's just mark this point. Let's just say that today we hypothetically put $10,000 into Litecoin. Let's see how it works going forward.
Better write it down.
Oh, it just went up, Mike. Now it's worth 12. Oh, it just went up. Now it's worth 14.
Oh, now it's worth 6,000. Jesus.
All right.
I think the biggest thing, wasn't there a major, I know, Nick, you brought it up a couple months ago, but wasn't there just recently a major failure at a Bitcoin transaction repository? Or it was a broker or something
Within
like
the
that.
last couple days, $350 million worth of cryptocurrency was just stolen. Again, this has happened multiple times from some jackass with his Bitcoin wallet.
So it's not a blockchain issue. Blockchain just recorded the transaction.
Absolutely, it was a blockchain
fraudulent.
issue.
It was a fraudulent blockchain.
Well, not even fraudulent. It's just somebody was storing all of their money in an online hot wallet instead of an offline cold wallet.
Right, and somebody got in.
Neither are safe. That's the real problem of cryptocurrency today.
Yeah.
The whole idea was getting rid of the banks, right? When it started as the idea of distributed, that's all true, but it all depends on the key to the wallet, right? To the key to the address, and that still needs to be stored in some sort of safe, whether it's a bank safe or an online site, or you're still relying on a third party to take care of security for you, or you're relying on a safe in your basement. And every safe is susceptible to cracking and hacking. There's no
under the mattress. That's where.
Even under the mattress. What will happen when the mattress burns out, or you threw it out before you took it out? So it's
no. The only way to get complete safety is to write down the key on a piece of paper and then burn it, and you know it's safe.
Somebody's gonna have to come up with a way that they'll like cut into you and put a pocket there.
Oh my God.
And you can put stuff in there, and then maybe an RFID thing that you can program, and you just stick it somewhere on your body under the
so
skin.
that means that crime, especially financial crime, is going to be mutilation as well.
That's right. Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. That's right. That's correct.
Yeah.
There's
I still
nothing.
think the answer to this is a time machine. So you just go back in time to before it was done, watch it happen, and then you have the information. You come forward again, and you have it. Right? Then there's no
Oh.
secrets anymore.
You're talking about a time machine that you can only view previous events.
That would be great.
Yeah.
There was a show back when we were kids. I don't know if Mike, you probably remember it, called The Time Tunnel.
Oh yeah, I know that.
Remember, you know the time? Yeah, so it was
Yeah.
a cool show. But
I
they had a
remember
they had a viewer where they could
Charles is a lot older than I am.
view the past through this viewer, and then they could send people to the past.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
they
the
had-
problem is when people go to the past and try to change something, and then everything changes.
Well, that's if you have to get into the multiple universe
Yeah.
thinking here, where if you go to the past and change something, you've just created a new fork. So now there are two realities instead of one.
Right. Watch the phone start ringing now.
Right.
All right. Let's see now. This is an interesting fact here. Exploit kits, once a preferred choice of attackers to invade a victim's browser and find a way to their computer, are increasingly diminishing in their effectiveness. If you have an updated browser, chances are it packs adequate resource to fight such attacks. So that's it. That's another reason to keep your browser up to date and let the updates happen. A browser is an easy thing to update, and you don't need to worry about it, because if something broke, you can just remove it, go to another browser, download it again, and install the other one without the updates. Or you can go to another browser until they fix it. Which, by the way, last week we were talking about Firefox and all that, and actually on my machine, the one I use every day, the default browser now is Firefox instead of Chrome, and I love it. It works really nice.
Yeah.
They've been working hard to update and make changes to Firefox. I remember there was going to be some pain in the beginning because of abandoning some of their old their add-in strategy. They had to change it all, so the people who wrote add-ins had to update it or just basically go away. But what they've done now that they've had some time to work on it has actually done a pretty good job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does everything that I want it to do. And I'm not a power user when it comes to browsers, but it works fine. The only one pet peeve about it that I have is with Chrome. If you copy a link to your what do you call it?
The
Control-
address.
Clipboard.
Yeah, to the clipboard, and you click in the address in Chrome, right away it highlights it. So when you paste, it erases the old one. With Firefox, I'm finding out many times I go there and I click and I hit, without even thinking, you hit paste and it says can't find it. And I'm looking at the address and it's what was there and it added it to it. And I'm getting used to, click there, and if it's not highlighted, get out, click again, and then paste it. I don't know why it's doing it. I don't know if it's something in the settings, but it's no big deal. It's fine.
I'll tell you why it's doing it.
Why?
Simple, actually. It's because you were already focused in the address book, in the address bar. So if you click outside the address bar and then click back, it'll highlight everything again.
Oh, okay.
And I actually think it's the same in Chrome. It's just you haven't noticed it.
I've never had the situation with Chrome that it added the new link to the old behind the old link. That's why I'm not even looking. I click and paste. I don't even need. I'm not. With Chrome, I'm not even looking at it. So it always works.
Are you right-clicking the address bar?
No, I left click the address bar.
then just try right-clicking the address bar, and
Okay.
then you have an option paste and go.
Oh,
And it'll
okay.
just-
I'll try that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, paste and goes works pretty well.
I
Okay.
think if you do multiple successive clicks at the end of what's on the address bar, it will select some and then select all.
Well, the thing is that
Yeah.
it's working differently than Chrome. Chrome always highlighted.
Okay,
The minute you
interesting.
click there once, it'll highlight it. Of course, if you click again, it goes the highlight goes away because it thinks
But
that
if
you want
you
to
if you
edit
do
it,
that in
but-
Chrome, you first time you arrive and you click, it highlights it all. You click again, it goes away. You click
Yeah.
again, it highlights just the last anything after the last
yeah, so that's what I'm saying. that-
forward bracket. And then if you click a third time, it highlights the whole thing.
Oh.
Yeah. So
anyway, but it's great. It's working great,
Mhm.
and I had not one glitch with it. I mean, imported all the passwords and the history and the bookmarks and everything is there.
my
So
problem is that every time I move browsers, going through my bookmarks, which have been imported and exported so many times, that I've got probably thousands of entries
well,
from over the years. I can go back and find imports from a browser from like 2008.
when I have time, I mean, I do it a few times a year. I go into the bookmarks and I delete stuff that I know I'm not using or I don't need it anymore. Or
Yeah.
so
I have done
it's
that,
still
but it's not
inflated.
enough. Yeah. It's so nested, it's hard to find stuff.
Yeah.
You got to use the search feature.
But it's fine. So I'm not saying go for Firefox. Use whatever you want, but make sure your browser is updated.
And make sure you delete all the links to Microsoft Bob.
To
Remember that? Remember Bob?
Bob. Yep.
Oh boy.
Mm.
So I'm ready to do the specials if you're ready to do the specials.
Okay. Oh yeah, because you have to leave, don't you?
Yeah, I got to go after I'm done.
Yeah. All right. So let's do the specials. Dun, da-da-dum. Dun, da-da-dum, da-da-dum.
And there it is. And there's a product on Thank you for joining us. We'll now do the specials. Look at this one thing on the front page, though, I stumbled across in the old vintage ads. This thing called the keyboard joystick. Look at that. Why didn't that become a thing?
It was a thing for a while.
Yeah, on an
I never
IBM.
saw it before.
IBM had something like that in the keyboard, but it wasn't on a key. It was like in between the four keys in the middle. Remember the old
Well, Lenovo laptop has that.
yeah.
Oh, they had the pointing stick. Yes.
Yeah.
No, but this was a way to adapt an old style keyboard onto the arrow keys and make it into a joystick. Work like a joystick.
So
Which
is this just a mechanical thing that
Yeah,
when you move left,
You
it
drop
click-
it on there and it just
Oh,
clicks
jeez.
underneath. And you could bring this to work. So when you're playing a game, you put it on there, and when you want to go do, you got to go back to work. You just take it off and put it someplace else.
Well, I have a
God.
theory on why it didn't catch.
It's stupid.
No, modern gaming uses WASD,
That's true.
not the arrows.
All right. So Computers 2K Now specials for June 24th, 2018. And starting with laptops, Best Buy has a Dell 2-in-1 13-3-inch Core i5, 8 gig of memory, or 8 gig, 8 gig of memory, 1 terabyte drive for $749. Student deal eligible. Like we're getting to that season again, right? Already. It's only June, and we're talking about student deals. Save $100. Office Depot Office Max has a HP 15.6-inch Core i3 entry-level laptop for $339. It's $160 off. And Staples has a Dell i5 laptop for $429, which is $120 off. Best Buy. I'm not familiar with iBuy Power gaming desktops,
Mhm.
but it's an i7 16 gig $8.99, which is $280 off the regular price. Office Depot has a touchscreen all-in-one desktop for $449, 23.8 inch. That's $180 off the regular price. Staples has a HP Pavilion Core i5 desktop for $449, which is $150 off the regular price. Tablets. At Best Buy, we've got the Asus Zen 10.1-inch 16 gig Android tablet for $205, save $14. I mean, I struggle sometimes to find things at these different websites that because it's not part of their weekly ad. Something in a reasonable price range. Normally, I didn't do it with the icon there. Usually, I change the color on the outside circle, but this was not part of the regular weekly ad. Same is true now for this New Vision 8-inch tablet from Office Depot Office Max. This is on sale, $69.99, save $10, but it's not from the regular weekly ad. Staples has what has become a weekly thing now, iPad 9.7-inch 32 gig tablet for $279, which is $50 off the regular price. If you're looking to combine your wireless router and DOCSIS cable modem, Best Buy has a Netgear Nighthawk dual band AC 1900 router and 24x8 cable modem for $177, which is $22 off the regular price. Office Depot Office Max has sales on all of their Linksys routers from $10 to $50 off. And Staples has the top end Netgear Nighthawk AC 3200 tri-band. This looks like a drone. $249, $10 off. Not a big sale, but okay. Storage, got some good deals here. 4 terabyte Western Digital USB 3 portable hard drive for $99. It's half price, $100 off. Office Depot has a SanDisk 32 gig micro SDHC card with adapter for $19.99. It's half price, save $20. Staples has a 2 terabyte Seagate Backup Plus slim drive for $69.99, 10 off. Accessories. Best Buy has a Logitech Surround 5.1 speaker system for $51.99, which is $18 off the regular price. Logitech is always a good choice for wireless keyboards, and if you're in the market for a new, I have to actually have the 320 on my desktop here, MK320 wireless desktop for $24.99 wireless keyboard and mouse. And a Logitech MK540 advanced wireless keyboard is $39.99, which is $20 off at Staples. Monitors. Boy, the price of larger monitors is really coming down. Best Buy has an Acer 27-inch monitor for $139. It's $110 off the regular price. Office Depot has a 24-inch monitor from LG for $119, save $30. And at Staples, we've got a 23.5-inch curved Samsung monitor for $149, which is $30 off the regular price. If you are looking for a printer for your small business and you'd like to get some supplies up front and still get a very good printer at a good price, the Brother HLL 2730 XL printer. It's a monochrome wireless laser printer for $249, save $30, and that includes both a high capacity and an ultra high capacity cartridge. Comes with both. This is at Best Buy. Office Depot has the Epson Workforce DS30 portable document scanner for $79.99. It's half price. Wow, almost half price, $70 off the regular price. A mid-level business class inkjet all-in-one from Epson, the Workforce 2760 series, is on sale for $69.99 at Staples. That's $60 off the regular price. Best Buy has the Nest Learning Thermostat 3rd generation for $199.99. That's $50 off the regular price. Office Depot has the TP-Link 60-watt A19 dimmable white light bulbs, Wi-Fi bulbs for $19.99. That's $5 off the regular price. And Staples has a 2-camera Netgear Arlo system starter system for $199, which is $50 off. And then if I have time, sometimes I'm up early on Sunday and I have time to go in and look at other stuff that's not in the weekly ad, something that might catch my eye. I've added, but wait, there's more. And on weeks when I can do it, I will. But I came across this product called the Switchmate Slim Rocker Bonus Starter Kit. It's at Staples. It's $89. It comes with 2 rockers. It only works with the rocker style wall switch, and it actually snaps over the cover, and it will now mechanically, using wireless, and it has a bunch of different support for different types of home automation, operate the switch. But it also has a outlet that will plug into a existing duplex outlet and control the outlet. So I don't have a lot of details on this, but this is an interesting retrofit product that says
Sort
you
of,
can
sort
take
of
it
like
with you.
that joystick.
Yeah, yes, yeah. I guess it's the same people, right? Uh, but this is something to keep an eye on and look at. There's no reviews yet, but might be an interesting add-on. Like if you live in an apartment, you don't want to wire stuff up, but you want to have some functionality. This might be a good way to do it. It says to take it with you when you travel. That sounds a
What?
little weird, but why would you do that?
Well,
Uh,
the idea is having a remote control for light switches anywhere
Mhm.
you are.
Yeah, but it's got to be a rocker switch.
Yeah,
So
there's actually a version of this that works with the regular plug as
there
well.
is. I didn't drill that deep into it. Yeah.
No, I don't know if it's on
Staples, but there
on
is.
Staples. Yeah, if you'll search Amazon or eBay, this has been around for a while. There are people who are raving all over it, and there are people. I've looked at it. I've done a lot of home automation for myself, and this was one of the things that I looked at. But yeah, it's an interesting concept.
Yeah, well, it is cool. We'll have to look at it. If somebody wants to buy me one, I'll be happy to test it. All right. Staples also has this 360 electrical habitat braided USB power block and extension cord, which I thought was kind of interesting if you travel. Sometimes you go to a hotel and the outlets are not necessarily in a great place for you to plug in your power supply or plug in your laptop or whatever you want to do, or you have to unplug the alarm clock or some nonsense like that to get stuff to work. This would be an interesting way to provide USB recharging and power outlets, something that's easy to travel with for its $19 at Staples. All right. Um, home automation. If you've got pets, my son actually has something like this, which is a Wi-Fi pet feeder where you can. I didn't include the price. Oh no, it is at 119. It's $30 off. It's sold out online, but it says, "Oh, we'll get more." But if you want to, I know you can't use this with a dog because obviously the dog has to be let out, but you can use it for cats and other animals that are essentially potty trained in the home. If you've got a ferret or something, I think you can potty train those to use a litter box kind of situation. But a PetNet smart feeder for 119, that's $30 off. Uh, it's the season for being outdoors, and what better way to annoy the crap out of your neighbors than by putting a Bluetooth, really pile driver speaker out there, uh, put it facing their yard right up against the fence and play some music, right? Wouldn't you want to do that?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. 104.99 at Office Depot for the Altic Lansing Life Jacket Bluetooth speaker. And then Amnon, this is for you. You can when Kathy asks you to do something, you say, "No, sorry, I'm busy. I'm cutting the grass." You just have to fire up the Husqvarna 450 automatic mower. It's only $3,500 at Best Buy.
Autonomous.
Autonomous mower. That's absolutely right. Goes out there and cuts the grass for you.
It's an
But you can say,
iRobot for
"I'm busy."
grass.
Yeah.
Yeah. "I'm busy. I'm sorry, honey. I'm cutting the grass." You could be swinging in a hammock watching the
You're
progress on
managing.
your smartphone.
You're managing.
Yeah, that's it. I want to see the hovercraft mower next. You fly it around and drop it in different places.
I
That'd
wonder
be
how that
cool.
thing reacts when it hits like a pile of rocks. What if it shreds itself to pieces?
I think it's like a Roomba, just it backs off.
Mm.
All right. So finally at Fry's, we got some interesting stuff. Tis the season for thunderstorms. Protect your machines if you don't have surge protectors, battery backup systems, or a whole house surge protector. It's what I put in a number of years ago, which works great. Get yourself some surge protectors, check them out. Look for the ratings, and protect your machines from that. It's not so much direct hits are not going to help you with a surge protector. It's
No.
going to do damage. But what happens is there are lightning strikes throughout the system, and it sends surges through the system, and it can come into your home. It could be 10 miles away where the system is hit, and it sends a surge. So uh, get some stuff out there to protect your devices. Very inexpensive. This one APC one in the middle for $13. 3 outlet surge protector and tablet charging station. $13. It's $5 off the regular price. A good deal at Fry's. You don't see much of this anymore, photo frames, but suddenly now they're making them. This is a 15-inch photo frame. So essentially a laptop display with its own built-in memory and processor that you can have. For 110 is a little pricey, but it's $14 off. If you would like to have a higher resolution, I still have a couple of the old ones, the ones that had the 7-inch displays,
Mm.
and the pictures are horrible. I mean, it's all pixelated. It just doesn't work that well. But this looks pretty. If you want to have some picture scrolling in your home, or you could use it in your business if you want to have a series of advertisements of some scrolling without having to use a computer to do it. This is for you, Amnon. So you're never ever out of touch. This is a satellite-based messenger. You can text or send email from anywhere. You can get a look at the sky. $249. Wouldn't you love to do that?
No.
So you can get a message. You could be in Antarctica and you could get an alert that your server's down, an email. Come on, you need to know. You'd have to come back. But
Yeah. That's why I wouldn't want it.
How much is
So
the service for something like that?
that's what I tried to find out and I could not find it. Not for the time I had this morning. There was nothing on the Fry's webpage telling you how much it costs. But Spot also makes other devices that are GPS-based, satellite-based trackers. So it's not a fly-by-night company. They're out there. They do make some high-end stuff for tracking vehicles and so on, as well as software. And then finally, we've got the Garmin 1080 dash camera with forward collision and lane departure warnings for $149. That is amazing. I mean, you think about some of the stuff that's in cars now. They're actually taking the wheel out of your hand to avoid a collision. But this is a way, if you want to get these sophisticated features for a low price. Forward collision, lane departure warnings, plus red light and speed camera alerts for $149. GPS-enabled automatic incident detection. Save video footage of impact to show when and where the events happened. Good deal. You can get it cheaper with promo code. So if you're interested in this, sign up for a Fry's promo code. You can get even more money off. And Amnon, again, this is for you. This is the solar backpacks from Energizer, where you've got a solar panel built in, a flexible solar panel built into the back of the backpack, so you can.
It's an executive. It's for the executive.
Well, they have the one for the wanderer, the one who's unemployed. They have the one for the purpose who's employed. It's the pro version. So. Yes, so it's apparently not selling real well because they're really cheap compared to $179, $115 off, or $159 with $100 off. So, and that's it for specials for June 24th, 2018. And with that, I have to go and get busy today with some repairs and some car rearranging. So, enjoy the rest of the show, everybody, and.
Thank you, Spence.
Yeah. All right, we'll see you.
And be careful out there. It's hot.
I know. I want to get it over with as early as possible. So.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks. Bye.
Take care.
I think it's a good time since speaking of specials, I got a good deal yesterday. Unfortunately, it's sold out now.
Oh, I was going to mention it.
I know. Well, I'll post the link. Maybe it'll come back in stock. I don't know. But I was browsing Slick Deals or something yesterday, and Newegg Flash was running a sale on an ADATA 480 gigabyte SSD for $80, free shipping, no tax. Um, so I was picked one of those up yesterday, which I think is I that I don't think I've seen a price lower than that for a 480 gig SSD.
Yeah, that's a great price.
I think that's about as it's normally 140, so it's 40% off. I've never used an ADATA drive, but
Oh,
I can't imagine it's
it's
gonna be a
fine.
problem.
Yep. And talking about uh Newegg and Amazon and
Uh-huh.
taxes and stuff. Nick, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, well, we've been talking about the how Walmart may be m- making a shot back up in first place of buying things, and it appears now with this Supreme Court decision, which was a 5-2-4 decision earlier this week, that online retailers can now charge sales tax in any state and will start charging it, or some of them will start charging it in every state. It really does put Walmart in store and Staples and those other things back, I think, kind of in a good spot, because everything online's probably going to get a little more expensive, either one way or the other, either with paying for things a little bit cheaper and then paying for the tax on top of it, or however they structure their systems. Um, so that could, I think it's a real shot across the bow to those guys.
Yeah, a little bit leveling the playing field a little bit. The only thing is when we were discussing it, the only thing that I can see here is that there will be some of those fly by night sellers that are going to collect tax, and the state where the buyer is will never get that money. The whole idea here is, and it's been talked about again and again and again for years, is how the states are losing money, tax money, because of online purchases. Um, I don't see any type of. I would rather see Amazon collecting the tax, because Amazon cannot get away with it, and Amazon is probably already has the mechanism because they've been charging tax for some time, so they have the mechanism to just have to add more. I'd rather see them collecting it and then paying the state where the stuff was sold. But if I'm going to sell something on eBay, and the seller is charging me tax, they just take it and go. I mean, they don't have any setup even to do it. I'm not saying all of them will do that, but I'm sure there will be those who say, "Oh, we can make a couple more bucks just by doing this." So we'll see. Taxes for online, it's hard to do. I mean, let's not get into it, but it's not easy to do for a seller. This is why it was so nice. If you're from out of state, then there's no tax. It's your responsibility to list it on your tax return and say, "Yeah, I bought so much uh, online." People don't do it. So, well, well. Uh, Mike, Mike is here. Yeah, Mike, listen to this story. Everybody else. I mean, it seems like the EU is getting really. Remember how? I mean, the United States always set up the rules for things to happen on the internet, and here, there, I mean, like a world, and we all say, well, how can we enforce it? Listen to this. The European Union has taken the first step in passing new copyright legislation that critics say will tear the internet apart. It says the EU Legal Affairs Committee, jury, JURI, voted in favor of the legislation called the Copyright Directive. Although most of the directive simply updates technical language in copyright law in the age of the internet, it includes two highly controversial provisions. These are Article 11, a link tax, which would force online platforms like Facebook and Google to buy licenses from media companies before linking to their stories. And Articles 13, an upload filter, which would require that everything uploaded online in the EU is checked for copyright infringement. Think of it like YouTube's content ID system for the whole internet. EU lawmakers, critics of the legislation say these articles may have been proposed with good intentions, like protecting copyright owners, but are vaguely worded and ripe for abuse. Mike, you're a patent lawyer, copyright. What do you say about this?
It's a new question because the copyright's determined by the Berne Convention. There has to be a convention agreement among the various countries whether they're going to enforce each other's laws. The United States copyright law is under the Berne Convention, as it is under most major nations. So a directive is a recommendation, it's an instruction, it's not a law or a regulation. And does it indicate movement in that direction? It could, but what this looks like to me is the failed newspapers, the failed Bloombergs, and those are trying to find out ways to get money. Their paywalls have been a dismal failure because people don't want to pay for something they can get for free.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to me like some regulators are being influenced to find a way for the quote unquote media companies to get money out of the internet. The solution is simple: just don't link to any of those sites. Don't. I mean, right now, if I'm on a lot of email lists and get a lot of recommendations about things to read. If it's the Wall Street Journal, I don't click on the link. I don't have a subscription to them, and I don't want to read the first 3/4 of a paragraph of the story and then says click here to continue. I don't have any incentive to do that. If I wanted to subscribe, I would do that. Then I wouldn't need to read links that other people are sending me.
Mm-hmm.
There will be enough information that there will always be free information because, for example, let's suppose that this statute is this directive is made into a statute regulation. Let's suppose that it's adopted by the Berne Convention. Let's suppose that it becomes binding on people in the United States. Then what happens is that there are those people who are opposed to that information being charged for. That what they do is they read the story and rewrite it on their own blog, and that's not a copyright violation. Copyright violation means the exact same content or the content that is substantially similar, meaning that I could read a news article about, who knows, Bitcoin, then close that page, rewrite the article with all the same information. That's not a copyright infringement unless I use the same wording, same paragraph, same style, such that one person would look at it and say, well, obviously, this is the same information in this story, but it looks different. It's not written by the same person. Then it's not a copyright infringement. It's the same thing now, for example, when MoveOn.org releases a news report, all of the CBS, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, PMSNBC, all these, they all are echo chambers. They all write the same thing, and what they do is they rewrite it so it looks like that they wrote it as original content instead of just cut and paste the content from MoveOn.org and George Soros and all those guys. What I'm getting to is I don't think there's a big threat here. The big threat is the internationalization of law. the GDPR has already overstepped many jurisdictional bounds, in my opinion, for what it's worth. But at this point in time, no one knows how that's going to play out. It's not good because there's a certain faction of this country, and it's not Trump, that wants to move this country into being controlled by international factors where you don't have control. International. I mean, what do you have to watch out for is international taxation. So what did you just talk about? A link tax.
Mm-hmm.
Well, who pays it, and who pays it to whom?
Right. That's where the abuse can occur.
Now, if I get the money, I'm in favor of it.
Fat chance. Fat chance.
So here's something interesting, totally unrelated to technology. A number of years ago, I bought a tape measure that was called a center point tape measure. This has nothing to do with home improvement.
Damn.
I liked it, except it was too big. It was too bulky to deal with. Then I found out they had one that was 16 feet that had the narrower tape, and it was fine. I went over and bought one. Local store here has it, $18 with tax. I never even got to use it, and I lost it. I mean, I've looked everywhere for it. I bought it to use it at my daughter's house. Didn't use it. Needed it here. Didn't use it. Found the 25-foot one, and I used it. It worked great. I really wanted to find the 16-foot one. I gave up. I couldn't find it. I went over to Klingspor, bought another one a few days ago. The guy, I told him, he said, "Didn't you just buy one?" Yeah. Well, what happened? So I lost the other one. He said, "Well, now that you bought this one, you'll find the old one." I know.
Yep.
Good news is it's okay to have two. And it is, and I don't mind having two because I have one in each place. So
And
I
you
gave
did-
up looking for the old one, knowing it would eventually turn up.
Oh.
You remember me talking about buying a saber saw?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I've got to cut some boards today with it, so I decided to open it up.
Oh, and there is the.
Hey, Mike, that's your tape measure. Mike. I think that's a tape
Which
measure.
one, Nick?
I think the one on the right is the one you were looking for.
This right or this right?
Sorry, your left, the one in your left hand. That's the one. Yeah, you were looking for that.
I know. You
Oh
know
my
how
God.
I know?
I found your tape measure for you. You're
You know
good.
how I know?
How?
Because I put a 2 on the back of the one I just bought. Anyway.
Mike, there are some kind of little bitty gadgets that you can stick to things and you can locate them.
Yeah.
Mike would spend a fortune if he had
Oh
to,
my gosh.
if he had to put trackers on every device and tool and little adapter and everything. Oh my God.
You got to admit, I do know where a lot of stuff is.
I'm not saying you don't, but you'd have your 401k invested in trackers that connect to your smartphone.
Yeah.
That would
Yep.
work. The smartphone can only
I
track
even
10.
we can't hear you.
We
God,
can
your mic is super low.
Now you're muted.
How about now?
Still very
Your
low.
volume's low.
What happened?
It probably got turned down in Windows.
AGC.
Yes, sir. AGC.
I even have the original packaging for them.
Got it?
He's trying to fix it.
I was reading a radio journal recently about a guy who he's like me. He doesn't like throwing away old stuff. He had some old computers he wanted to bring life back to. He kind of talked about the experiences that we've had with Linux, that you try it and you give up on it because you usually run into some sort of roadblock. He had not played with it for several years. He decided to try it. He is real high on, if I get this right, mint cinnamon distro.
I've never heard of that distro.
Well, that's why I'm telling you
Yeah.
about it, because if you decide to play with it again, that might be one worth playing with. It actually has an option on it that, if I understand it right, that whenever you boot to it and tell it to install, one of the options is install beside Windows. It will actually repartition the disk, find a place for itself, and install itself. When you boot, it asks you whether you want to boot into Windows or Linux.
I'm in the process of setting up a Linux computer to start playing with at work because there's a whole bunch of cool audio utilities and things like that that run on Linux that might be useful. It's just having it on a physical piece of hardware instead of a virtual machine is probably forced me to use it a little bit more.
Well, try that mint cinnamon. See if there's anything about
Okay.
that that's useful.
Or
Can you hear
just
me,
go to
guys?
the mall and get a Cinnabon.
Thanks, Amnon.
I just love cinnamon.
I'm
Go
guessing
ahead,
I'm
Gal.
still- Can you hear me now?
Still a
Still
little
low.
low.
You're low.
What the hell? How about now?
Still low.
A little bit better, but still low.
One, two, one.
Are you adjusting the
mind.
volume control anywhere?
No,
Should be.
I'm looking for, but
Oh. Are you on a Mac or Windows?
Windows. How about now?
Nope,
the
you're not
same.
adjusting it.
There's no difference whatsoever.
No, it's not working for me. Anyway,
There you go.
Oh,
but now
maybe
it's okay.
But
Yep.
you're like, I think you're talking.
it's your
much louder
own
now.
voice. You were talking low before, I guess.
No.
No, I was talking regularly, but
Yeah, it's okay.
apparently
Now.
I needed to shout once, and now it's okay.
There you go. You cleared out the cobwebs.
About mint cinnamon, that's true. I think the most compelling thing about cinnamon and mint, especially for people coming from Windows, is cinnamon is the Windows management component, the one that takes care of how the desktop works and all that. So it's closest to Windows in its customizability and the way you can move things around and shape them. So definitely a very comfortable system to work with. And Mint is an interesting distribution.
Maybe I'll have to give that one a try. I've only ever really played around with Ubuntu, and I think maybe Linux Mint for a little while.
I don't remember. I think Mint. I'm trying to remember. So if you go to the Wikipedia page for Linux distributions, this is an interesting page because it has a graphics in it, a huge tree that at first you can't view, but then when you zoom in, you can. And because it's an SVG image, you can actually search the text within it. It's like a vertical, not vertical, vector-based graphics. So Mint.
Gal, while you're talking, move the connector on the headset.
No
It's
connector,
wireless.
it's wireless.
What's the wire that goes down on your?
It's a USB-based connection. So
Okay. Oh, because it's
yeah.
in and out.
In and out. Maybe. Oh, I
don't
know
know
what it is. I know what it is. It's probably the battery of the headset.
That's probably it.
Yeah. Now that you mention it, give me a sec.
That'll do it.
Need to connect it to a car battery. Yep.
And now,
Go ahead.
is this better?
Nope.
How about now?
Yeah,
Yes.
we'll test it after the show.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So one of the things that is very interesting about distributions in Linux, right, is they're basically 4, maybe 5 major branches. And Mint is based on Ubuntu. So if you go to Linux Mint, you'll see it springs out of Ubuntu, it and about, I don't know, 40, 50 others. But it's definitely, if you've played with Ubuntu before, you'll still be comfortable with Mint. But with the Cinnamon display, it makes it a lot more comfortable for people coming in from Windows.
Okay. Well, next time here, I'll give you a mint.
Yeah, I've used Linux, but I've never used the cinnamon, I guess, variant of it, unless that's
Yeah.
how it is by default.
Sounds so
Yeah, you
funny.
probably used GNOME and
Yeah, probably.
and probably have seen KDE. Those are
Yeah.
the big ones. Yeah.
I'll have to give that a try.
But if you're setting up a new system and you're not too uncomfortable with the command line, I would definitely recommend Arch Linux. It works differently. It's not based on the existing distributions, the big ones, and it's becoming more and more uh, uh, common in a lot of systems. It uses something they call the rolling. It's a rolling distribution instead of a monolithic one, which means there's no major version updates. It doesn't really matter if you're installing a new image or an old image. Once you run all the updates and you keep everything updated, everyone's using the same distribution, basically the same. So it makes it easy on the development teams. And it works a lot. It's very stable that way because it keeps everything updated to the latest image. And it's what I use for my media center right now, and I really, really like it.
Gal, is the microphone touching your cheek?
No, not anymore.
No. No, I was wondering if it was just blocking, if your cheek was actually blocking the holes, and that's
No.
what was happening now. Okay. All right. That's fine. We'll work on it. Now,
Well,
what?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to quickly talk about the World Health Organization, who this week came out with a new disorder, which is incredibly I don't know what the word to use is. There's been a whole
Disturbing.
Well, it's not that it's disturbing, not for the reason of what it is. It's disturbing because there's no consensus behind the disorder at all. So this week, the World Health Organization officially labeled gaming disorder as a type of mental. I believe they classified as a mental illness. And this is, let's see. I'm trying to find the quote.
Hey, look at it this
here.
way. You can now collect
the disability.
disability.
Yeah, so they just put this in here. They said the three key telltale signs are impaired control over gaming, increased priority given to gaming to the extent that gaming takes precedent over other life interests and daily activities. I mean, I already fall into that. And then escalation of gaming despite the occurrence of negative consequences. And many WHO doctors who have come out and said that we have not actually done any. We have done testing that hasn't really come back with any significant legitimacy on this, and it's just interesting that the World Health Organization would slap a label on this when they do not have a consensus from even WHO doctors. But I just thought that whole thing was a little interesting.
It is. It's like somebody did something when they hit a horse in the race, and they wanted to. I don't know what, but you watch. I'll bet you sooner or later there'll be somebody who is going to try and collect disability because of that.
I just think it's interesting that they label it, because their justification, their telltale signs are just very, very broad. I mean, I just
Yeah.
priority given to gaming to the extent that gaming takes precedent over other life interests and daily activity. I mean, what the hell does that mean?
Well, I'll tell you what I think it means. Since you all watched Digital Addiction last week after I asked you to do so, and the reason I know you did is because it said if you'll call me right now, I'll give you $100, and I didn't get any phone calls. But since I believe that there is in fact a digital addiction, and when I say that, I don't mean in the medical sense because I'm not medically qualified to determine what an addiction is, but I will tell you that there is a serious problem with too much time being spent in what is primarily digital media. Now, having said that, certainly gaming is a major time user of a major consumer of time when it comes to digital media. Now, does that mean that gaming is a problem or that too much digital connection is a problem? I would say at least too much digital involvement is a problem. Whether gaming is independently a problem, I don't have a clue. But
I would say both are problems. I just think it's pretty crazy to classify something as a disorder and just have such broad terms to I mean, essentially diagnose somebody with what they're calling a disorder.
Okay, it's unethical to diagnose someone with a mental illness without examining them in person.
Absolutely, but even a doctor examining you in person, there's not even any. I read through their thing. There is no. They don't even reference any time.
But what's a
that's being
disorder?
spent. What?
What's a disorder?
I mean, good question. I have no idea.
Well, it's whatever they want it to be, and
Well,
what
according to
happens
this,
is
whatever your doctor. I mean, there doesn't appear to be any guidelines given to physicians to actually make a qualification on this. It doesn't. There's no 5 hours a day is too much, 10, 15, 40 hours a week is too much, 80 hours a week is there's no time. It's just broad
because
things like precedent over other life interests. I mean, what the hell does that mean?
because the reason why is there is no specific time. It might be too much for 2 hours might be too much for you, and it might be 20 hours for me, but who knows, or vice versa. But having said that, a disorder, a lot of times some of these psychiatrists are much crazier than the people they're treating. And a lot of them are trying to get some sort of notoriety, popularity. They're trying to get their name in the lights. And so they want to be the first ones to come up with the digital disorder. And even when they come up with one and make a good argument for it, it takes a long time for it to get into the DSM, which is the Bible of the shrinks at making determinations of mental diagnoses.
Now, the thing is I think maybe the word addiction should be used instead of disorder.
But a disorder one of the symptoms of a disorder can be an addiction.
Isn't it the other way around?
No.
Isn't it?
Addiction
Yeah, it's the other way.
symptom. It's not the sickness.
I can't hear you.
Oh, God. Hello.
What did you say?
Addiction is definitely a symptom, and it's not the disease itself.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's something that it's getting more and more talked about and apparent. The addiction is just a symptom. Sometimes a symptom of depression, sometimes a symptom of loneliness. Not depression as a clinical depression. Loneliness is just another aspect that can create that. So definitely a symptom.
Look, guys, Nick, and everybody else that plays, we still love you.
That's all I want. That's all I want. I just want to be able to sit home,
Still love him.
play my video. That's
Nick,
not true.
How many hours do you spend in front of the computer every day?
Oh, in front of the
say?
computer, it's disgusting. Let me hold on. I spend
Roughly
12.
Okay. Mike, how
Maybe
many
more.
hours do you spend in front of the computer?
It depends on what you mean by that, because
No. In front of the computer. I don't mean anything. In front of the computer.
It depends on what you mean by that, because my office, my computer is directly in front. If I'm at my office, I'm.
Okay.
That's why
so
I
should
part
say.
Of it.
Okay,
yeah, 12 hours easily.
Okay, let's put it this way. How many hours a day do you interact with your computer, phone?
12, probably the same. I
Right.
mean, when I'm
So,
sitting in front
Mike-
of my computer,
Mike, can you answer that?
I'm thinking. I'm trying to give you an accurate
Roughly.
answer.
10 hours?
No, it's probably closer to 8.
Okay. Gal, how about you?
he's not here.
I mean,
Step away.
I spent probably, from morning till evening,
Yeah.
work on. So what does that mean?
Well, and
Nothing. This is part of work. So I would say that first of all, it has to be by choice because you are actually preventing yourself from doing other stuff and in favor of that. And even then, you enjoy doing it. So why go and watch a TV show that you don't enjoy instead of sitting in front of the computer and playing a game which you enjoy?
Well, I think that's part of some of the
So-
arguments I've read is, they don't there's not a TV disorder, there's no entertainment disorder that
Sure there is.
the WHO doesn't have one classified.
I'm telling you, about years ago,
No,
it was a big thing.
Yeah,
Look.
that's why a lot of parents don't let their kids watch TV, but so many hours.
Well, I don't. Maybe it's called something else, but I looked up for some type of the World Health Organization classifying TV as an addiction. I couldn't find
had-
anything.
they had-
That's
enough-
right, because these TV wackos like the ones at BSNBC and others attack these people. So, you can't do that. So all of a sudden they disappeared so
Yeah.
that these wackos would get interviewed on the TV shows.
Okay, so whatever it is, but and that was the argument that was being made. Amnon is if you spend 5 hours binge watching Seinfeld
Mm-hmm.
every night, or if you spend 5 hours sitting in front of the computer and playing a video game,
Mhm.
what's the difference? And there's always been this attack on video games, especially on the right. I don't know what it is. Every time there's one of these
Yeah.
shootings, you've got these dumbasses on Fox News talking about, they played Grand Theft Auto, and that's why they went into the school and shot all those kids. And it's
Yeah.
like, well,
That's just like mother's milk is a gateway drug. Every person on heroin started on mother's milk.
it's just I don't know what it is in the culture with the attack on video games. I mean, maybe it's a big industry, and whoever's trying to, it's a huge industry. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. There's always this attack though.
It's attacking what you don't know anything about. That's
Mike.
usually the case.
Mike,
It might be. Yeah.
Mike, you're talking about NBC. I like what you called them before.
BSNBC?
Huh? No,
BSNBC?
No. I thought you
What?
said PMSBC.
Yeah, PMSNBC.
No, PMSB PM.
PMS.
Oh yeah, yeah, PMSNBC.
So I would like to state on this program that I am mentally ill and I have a gaming disorder. I'm self-diagnosing myself. If I have to, you know what? Here's a great example.
Start
No,
to
hold on,
go.
hold on. Wait, no. I need to say.
You
I
need-
need to
you-
say
you
this.
need
I need to
give us
say
a
this.
chance. We
I need to
love
say
you.
this.
We love you, Mike.
I need to say this. Other
Uh-huh.
life interests. I was up until 2:30 in the morning playing video games, and I still woke up at 9 o'clock to do
Mhm.
this radio show. So,
So no disorder.
but I'm classified. So I'm just saying.
So, Nick, with regard to your disorder, I just wanted you to know
Can I
the
come stay with you, Mike? I need help.
the person
Yeah,
afflicted-
start the GoFundMe.
let me try. The person afflicted is the last one to know.
But I know. But I already know.
We already know.
Oh no! How long have you known? You
And
didn't
we
tell me.
love you. And we love you.
We're going to give you a hug, Nick.
That's great. I appreciate it. So this is just a bunch of BS from the World
Yeah.
Health Organization on this.
I do believe that there is an issue with, quote, digital addiction.
Absolutely. I agree with you completely.
And I would think that if people would understand digital addiction, it would probably take some of the heat off of gaming, because gaming is a primary activity under digital addiction for a lot of people.
My favorite comment on this TechCrunch article is, and only the gamers will get this one. It says, "Can someone summarize this for me? I'm 8,000 plus hours into Skyrim, and I have no time to read this article."
And I posted that link to digital addiction on BSNBC. And I strongly recommend you watch it, because this is a technology show. I believe it's real. It goes into, I don't want to spoil it for you, but it goes into the story of a married man with kids, married with children, nice family, nice house, nice job, and he's totally non-functional because he's a gamer. Now, it's not the game that's the problem, it's the digital addiction that's the problem. It illustrates it, I think, fairly.
And I would agree that there. I mean, I could say without a doubt that I have chosen either present, even talking back in whenever this 2014, 2015, when we were doing 8-hour Google Plus Hangouts 6 nights a week, I could say unequivocally, and I know you could say the same thing, unequivocally without a doubt, you chose that over some other type of what did they say? Other life interests and daily activities. I
Well,
mean,
John said it best. He said, "I believe that a disorder occurs when the addiction has negative effects on life choices.
but
If
that's
they're
everything.
Well, if here's a guy who's almost going to have to get divorced because he'd rather spend time on rather spend time on a video game than with his kids and his family.
Yeah.
He didn't even go to I forget what it was, a wedding or something. He chose not to go to and stay home and play video games instead. I don't have any sympathy for somebody like that. I have a whole lot of things I'd rather. I went to a funeral yesterday. That's not exactly the kind of thing that you wake up and say, "Hot dog, getting to go to a funeral today." But it was the right thing to do at the right time in the right place. And things that I wanted to do and would prefer to do have to take a back seat. That's what the digital addiction is interfering with. If I were this guy who is in this TV show that that I was hooked on the digital addiction, I would have said, "Nope, can't go. He's dead. He won't know I'm not there. What difference does it make?" Well, it makes a big difference.
Well, and I think, see, Mike, you're pulling out the extreme example. The guy that literally but stop. The guy that literally is not going to weddings, not talking to his wife and children. This classification does not it's so broad that if I decide on one Wednesday evening, all of my coworkers are going to go out and have dinner, and maybe I'm just fed up with work or whatever, and I'd rather just come home and play a video game instead of interacting. I would absolutely fall into,
No,
according to their
No, not
classification. I absolutely
I
do.
don't
just
think
because
that
a single
definition.
occurrence.
I don't think that definition is sustainable. I think it has to be repeatable, significant.
But that's what
Gaming
Nick,
takes precedent over other life interests. I mean, what's
That's
the
not
definition?
one time.
It doesn't say.
Well, I
But-
think there's a certain reasonableness built into the definition, but I mean, I could also say this, Nick. Did overeating is technically an addiction?
Well, there's a disorder for that, I believe.
Well, there may be, but think about it. I mean, is eating an addiction?
There's people that absolutely say that. I've watched a YouTuber that absolutely had an eating addiction.
Well, why do
Talking
people
about, I can
overeat?
stop whenever I want.
That
What did he say?
I can stop whenever
I
I,
can stop
want.
whenever
Right. Right
um and obviously and we're kind of saying this in a tongue-in-cheek manner, and obviously disorder and addiction is a serious thing. It's just this broad generalization of it, I think, is a little much.
anytime you're overdoing something, it has negative connotations.
But here's the question,
anything.
Amnon. If I would rather interact with people online and
Oh,
interact
oh
with
yeah, I agree.
if I would rather interact with you, if I'd rather sit on a Skype call with you for 3 hours every night instead of sitting at a bar with a coworker,
That's
what's
Yeah.
what how and what where is the addiction?
it's not because you
Does
could
that
have
make me an alcoholic? Because I'd rather. Does that make me an alcoholic if I'd rather be at the bar with a coworker than online talking to you? I mean, say that's where the generalization
right,
and the
but that's
classification I don't think works.
But your whole point here was that this article, this decision makes no sense. And
Yeah.
you're right. It makes no sense.
it's just a little
It does
frustrating.
not. No,
The
don't.
article-
No.
I have a question about the article.
Yeah.
I think this is key. When something with some technical references, in this case a mental health reference, right? When that's described in a popular media outlet, usually everything is framed incorrectly and unrelated to the original source, right? And that's probably the main issue. The fact that such a disorder is being classified doesn't mean that 90% of the population falls to that definition,
Very
right?
true.
So a
No.
disorder, by definition, by just the language definition, is something that is so out of the ordinary, right? That it can be a disorder. So if 90% of the population are doing it, it's not a disorder. And what you're describing, people choosing new media over old media, the fact they prefer to sit down in front of their computer or the PlayStation and play a game, even if it's for 5 or 6 hours in the day, right? Instead of, I don't know, of shooting the hoops in their backyard, that doesn't make it a disorder. And if the article doesn't make that clear, it's because they know that if they're not going to point the finger at the reader, right, then the reader is going to lose interest after the first paragraph. So
Very true.
it's all about critical reading more than whether this disorder is true or not, or it's valid or not. It's probably valid. Any disorder, any addiction is something that can happen to anything, right? We have shopping addictions, and we have
Harley Davidson.
Harley Davidsons. We have every type of um, consumerism in general can create addiction to anything, right?
And Alan
So-
says it well. He says, I think it might matter more when the activity interferes with eating, toileting, and sleeping to the point that it affects one physically on top of the mental effects. I would add to that, in that, like anything, there has to be some cumulative effect. If I have an eating disorder that causes me to overeat, then I'm going to repeatedly overeat. If I happen to go to a wedding reception and pig out once or twice a month, I do that, I don't think that is significantly a cumulative effect.
No.
But
And I mean, a
who's
case in
to say? I mean, the people writing the DSM, Minor JA, says transgender is no longer considered a mental illness. The governing body was harassed until they caved into the pressure. The DSM is considered a joke now, no longer based on science. That's to some extent true, in that it now has lost a lot of its credibility, because now you don't know which of those illnesses are there for political reasons and which are those for scientific reasons. In fact, a lot of these wacko psychiatrists, their DSM is up to version 5. A lot of them have gone back to version 4 because they don't trust version 5.
Nick, you see what you started?
it started with
what did I start? How did I do that? I didn't.
With
I
your
mean,
mental illness.
I mean, my mental illness is you know what? I own my I'm proud of my mental illness.
Good
and I
for you.
stand by it.
I have a disability. I'm thinking about going on disability.
What do you have?
Misophonia.
What's that mean?
It means that I'm highly sensitive to certain sounds,
Oh,
like fingernails on a chalkboard, popping chewing gum.
I love chewing gum.
Yeah. I get violent and I start shooting, and that's usually not a good thing.
So
That's
you're
because
gonna
you play so many
so
damn
you-
video games.
so you're going
Yes.
you're going to apply for disability, Mike?
I'm thinking about it. Is that copyrighted?
Yeah,
I
that'll
doubt
get-
it.
That'll get you
No.
flagged. So all jokes aside, I thought that was kind of an interesting
Yeah, it is.
story from the story outside of the tech world this week.
Well, that's got to do with tech world
Yeah.
too. One
I've got to
other
run though.
one other thing here, for those of you who are on T-Mobile or Sprint. According to documents filed on Monday, T-Mobile and Sprint have formally asked the FCC to approve their proposed merger.
There you go.
So,
Well, didn't I read somewhere that AT&T's merger with Time Warner or Speculum has been approved?
no.
No.
They bought
You better read it again.
Time Warner Media.
Time Warner Media.
Okay.
21st or not Time
The movie house.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good.
Oh gosh, that's all we need.
Oh, you're telling me. By the way, there's been, even though it's a bunch of wackos, I like nextdoor.com. I like the service it provides.
Mhm.
And a lot of people in this neighborhood have had some real big problems with Google Fiber. It
Ooh.
is not the be all to end all that it's portrayed to be. They had one guy, his service went out. He called in. They said, "Oh yeah, it'll be a week before we can get anybody out there."
You
It
have
turned out to be an area outage, and it came back up the next day. But he was livid.
I've got to cut you guys off. I have to run.
Where are you going?
I've got to go record my radio show so I can skip town.
And go where?
Myrtle Beach.
he's
my
got a
folks are in
good
town.
reason, and he's not going to be playing games.
I don't know about that.
I'm not
He
even
plays
bringing
games
my.
while he's
I'm
doing
not.
his show.
I'm not bringing. I actually was playing video games this morning while I was doing Computers 2K now.
So yeah, tell me, I don't lie to you that often.
But I'm not even going to be bringing any video games with me. But luckily,
right.
if
We
I
got to
get
go.
the itch, I'll just drive back and I can play. So have a good week, everybody. I'll talk to you guys
You
next
too.
time.
Have fun, Nick.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Anyhow, that's about it for today. Any last minute comments, additions, guys?
Not me.
All right. So, thanks everybody. Thanks, Spence, Nick, Mike, Gal. Thank you, guys. And good morning to Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie, and Dana. Thanks everybody for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing. Back up your hard drive and update your virus scanner. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. While you're at it, like us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like you heard, Nick is recording his show, so tonight at 7, you can listen to Nick's show, Against the Norm, on Wilmington's Big Talker 106.7. And you can listen on it anywhere you are by going to TuneIn. Listen on it there. Bye-bye.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Telestream's Wirecast software, StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.